And now it's time for the most entertaining, unpredictable prediction show on the face of the earth. It's NFL Weekly Predictions, starring Jason Powers, Jay Sizzle, and Steve Champagne. And now to your predictions.
All right, welcome to NFL Weekly Predictions, Cheap Seat Sports. I'm Steve Champagne, along with the amazing Jason Powers. Jay Sizzle behind the console over there, running our sound and stuff for us. Wow, last week was kind of a crazy week. What do you think?
Well, you didn't ask about my armband.
Well, I didn't ask about it because I knew you would tell everybody.
Now, you know I'm a 49er fan. Y'all know that by now. And as a 49er fan, you know I'm also not a fan of the Cowboys. But I have to admit something. I'm kind of in mourning today. Dak, man, Dak. This is a loss for the entire league. This is a quarterback who was doing literally unprecedented things at the quarterback position. And he's suffered, obviously, most people know, a devastating injury to his ankle. Now we're being told that it was not as bad as Alex Smith's injury, which, I mean, let's be thankful for that. Mm-hmm. But this is a loss for the entire league. I personally, I think the league as a whole is about 1.5% less interesting overnight because of that injury. And the Cowboys, I mean, well, they're just obviously not going to go to the Super Bowl like I picked. Because they're not going to do it behind the strength of the arm of Andy Dalton, who hasn't been relevant since about 2016. And, I mean, he's going to have some success considering the stable of wide receivers they have for him to go to. And they got Blake Jarwin at tight end, who's been doing quite well. So it's not like he's going to fall on his face. But without Dak, they're not the same team. And they were already having enough issues with the defense and with their running game before this. This is devastating.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about this Dak Prescott injury is it's very sad. I watch the Dallas Cowboys, obviously, because I tell you, they're the most entertaining team in the league.
The TMZ
but
of the NFL.
I will say this. Andy Dalton, the red rifle, okay? That's right, the red rifle. He was relevant 2016. He had a guy named A.J. Green. Who else did he have? Okay, that's it.
Right.
Okay, so now he's got C.D. Lamb. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got Michael Gallup. He's got Ezekiel Elliott. He's got Blake Jarwin. This guy's going to be fine once he grasps the offense. He's not going to grasp it for a few weeks. They're playing Arizona this week. We got our pick segment coming up later on. We'll find out what's going on with that. But the Cowboys they're not done yet. That's why they got Andy Dalton, to be able to win some games. I think if they end up 8-8, they'll win the division and get a home playoff game. And anything can happen in the playoffs.
I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs, but I don't see them going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. I didn't think the Minnesota Vikings was not going to go to the Super Bowl a few times. And they got blown out by the Giants. I mean, they had Randy Moss, Chris Carter. They had Robert Smith running the ball, John Randall. They had all these great players, and they got blown out by the Giants, and that was ridiculous. But anything can happen in football, and that's why we love it so much, because anything can happen. I mean, face it. Did you think that the Buffalo Bills were going to lay that big of an egg?
Yeah, I can't believe the Titans did that. I mean, with all the COVID problems they had, with all the setbacks, I mean, it was amazing. They were in total control in all aspects of that football game against a previously undefeated Buffalo Bills team that is highly underrated, and that was really impressive.
It was impressive, and that's what I'm trying to say. What did they made the movie? Any Given Sunday, right?
Yeah, you say anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
You're right. Anything can happen, like the greatest quarterback of all time, forgetting what down it is late in the game when everything is on the line. Tom Brady, I don't care what they say to try to cover this up. I was watching live. It was pretty obvious. Tom Brady forgot what down it was. He thought it was third down, threw an incomplete pass down the center of the field, and then tried to run up to the line and tried to hurry everybody. And he looks to the officials, give us the ball. What's the problem? Buddy, it was fourth down. And you see the look on his face. You see the quizzical look as he's staring at the official that's pointing the 4 in his hand.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that he didn't forget. Now, granted, he's a human being. Okay, I get it. He's going to make mistakes. It's okay. It is. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's nonsense how they're trying to cover this up and say, oh, well, there was some miscommunication and he was trying to signal for something else. No. He forgot what down it was, plain and simple, and they lost the game because of that.
Well, I know they didn't lose the game because of that. They
They-
did not lose the game because of that. No, they lost the game because their offensive line kept giving them penalties. They had
Oh, my God,
11
yes.
penalties for
Yes.
105 yards. Now, I'm telling you
So
right now.
undisciplined, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing about Tom Brady. The reason he forgot what fourth down it was, in case you might recall, he got rocked by Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE'd him. you know, I mean, body slammed him. And he was under duress and got waffled by Khalil Mack many times. His bell might have been wrong.
You think he might have had a concussion?
He
huh?
might have.
That was my thought.
I
yeah.
mean, he might have actually had a concussion. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but it was obvious he did forget the fourth down. I don't know where anybody was trying to cover it up. Maybe, I guess, Tampa was trying to cover it up. But, I don't think the announcers or other people that I've watched were trying to cover it. He clearly forgot what down it was.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Like the Dolphins manhandling my 49ers. What is going on? Garoppolo pulled from the game at halftime, and they're saying that it was to protect his high ankle sprain. And I believe that, but I think I hope that was the reason he played so poorly. I will say this. There were several moments in that game when Garoppolo was in, when he was trying to fire the ball down the field, not just a little outlet or a screen pass, but every time he went deep, he was very ginger on that back ankle. That's the one he plants on, his planting ankle, and he did not look right. Yeah, it looked like he was babying that ankle, and I really believe that was the case. Where do you think they go from here? Do you think he starts this week?
I don't know, but I can tell you that, Jimmy G, porn star Jimmy, if you will, okay, this guy starts off on fire with Kyle Shanahan. Why are they collapsing now? What's the problem? Is it the injury? Is it Jimmy G just got lucky before? What's going on? Because how can you win and be he was like undefeated for how many games? And then all of a sudden now, I mean, what happened? Something must have happened because obviously he was getting along with the coach. Obviously he was doing the things the coach asked him to do. Obviously there was a connection. Everything was going great. To now see this, what's wrong? And I don't know what that is. They did lose some players. I get that. But did they lose that many players to have that poor of a performance? What happened?
I'm hoping this is just a 1 week aberration, but I am concerned about them. And now they sit here at 2-3, and a lot of people picked them to go back to the Super Bowl and go far in the playoffs at the very least. Mm-hmm. So it's troubling. I know C.J. Beathard isn't the answer. He's an okay quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but they need Garoppolo to get right. I think the best thing that they can do is to sit him this week and let that ankle heal up a bit.
All right, well, I want to hear your thoughts on this. All right, because this, to me, was atrocious. It was atrocious. The Minnesota Vikings going for it for 4th and 1 to win the game on the Seattle, 6-yard line, 5-yard line?
Yeah.
And instead of kicking the field goal. Now, I understand it was raining. Balls can be slicked. What if they blow the snap and then Seattle gets the ball, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I think you got to try it, though.
Why even have a kicker on your roster is my question. If you're really going to go out of your way to avoid kicking field goals like that, then just let the punter do an occasional kick. Or don't even have a kicker.
Yeah, well, Dan Bailey's not bad. And,
No.
And I mean, you're talking about, the 5-yard line, so that's a 20-something yard field goal.
That's about 23.
Yeah, 23-yard field goal. So, I mean, Dan Bailey's going to make that. I mean, it's just a matter of can the snapper get the ball down, and it was raining bad, and I get that. But I got to put my trust in the kicker. I think the announcers were shocked when he decided to go for it. Mm-hmm. If Dalvin Cook would have been in the game, maybe. But he was hurt,
right?
So he wasn't in the game.
Right.
So now, and I was very, very upset because they could have beaten the Seahawks. And I was shocked at that game that the Vikings were even in it because if you remember last week, as you recall, I did the famous, which I won't do this week because I think I'm going to pick the Vikings, that sound that they make, that they blow the horn. And every time I do that, the Vikings lose. I did it last week. What happened?
They lost.
And I thought that I was going to have big time egg on my face because they were winning.
Right.
And I was like, oh, the one time I say this on, and then now, but I'm not going to blow the horn this week on the Minnesota Vikings. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think you have to put points on the board in that situation. And like I said, don't even have a kicker if you're really going to go out of your way to not kick like that. I thought it was sad. What else I thought was sad? I was really enjoying the Chargers Saints game until until close to the very end. The Chargers just folded. They went up 20-3.
I know.
20-3.
And with that defense, how do they blow it?
20-3, and they let the Saints off the hook. It seemed to me that they just let off the gas. That was the feeling that I got as I was watching that game. I kept thinking as the Saints are catching up, as we're getting deep into the third quarter, if you remember, the Chargers came back and scored another touchdown. And at that point, I was like, okay, they're actually going to pull this out. And I felt, not that I'm a fan of either team, but I felt comfortable with the fact that they were going to hang on and win. And it was sad to see them let the Saints off the hook the way they did. 20-3.
Well,
I mean, come on.
I'll just say this. We'll wrap this up real quick here. First off, I did tell you a few weeks ago, Justin Herbert is Herbert is a good quarterback. Him and Joe Burrow look to be the pick of the litter, so to speak. So far, we haven't seen Tua yet, and if Fitzpatrick keeps playing like he is, you're not gonna. But anyways, I'll just wrap this up. The Saints are who we thought they were. We had the game, and we let them off the hook. But anyways.
And the worst thing about it is that the Saints are not really the Saints anymore either. They're like the Saints light. They're like the diet Saints. They still
Well, that's better.
They're the diet Saints.
The diet Saints.
They look like the Saints. They're wearing their uniforms. It says Breeze on the back. And they go onto the field and they play this watered down, tepid kind of game. And it's just they have not looked right. I understand they have a winning record. I understand they're going to make the playoffs more than likely. They do not look right. I've said that for 6 weeks now. And let me tell you something else. I've noticed this about the Saints. Drew Brees is done.
This is last year.
Drew Brees is done.
This is last year.
He really needs to go away and retire after this season. I love Drew Brees. In my opinion, he may be the second greatest quarterback of all time. But he's done. Next time you watch the Saints, and for all subsequent Saints games this season, I want you to keep your eye out for something. Remember that I said this. Count how many times Drew Brees throws the ball more than 20 yards down the field. Because it is my belief, I would have to go back and look at all the game films, all the tapes, but from what I have seen, it is, and what I've read, and what I've observed, it is my belief that he has not thrown the ball more than 20 yards down the field one time even this entire season. I don't believe he's done it once.
Well, first off, let me just remind you of something. And I agree. Drew Brees needs to retire. He's over. He is 41. I mean, come on. It's not like the guy's 37 or something.
He's not terrible. He just doesn't have the arm.
This needs to be his last year. Really, it does. I love Drew Brees, too. I always thought he was better than Tom Brady, even though he doesn't have the rings that Tom Brady has. So he's always been one of my favorite players. But you got to remember this, and a lot of people out there may not even know this themselves. Okay, a football field is 100 yards, well, actually 120 yards from back of the end zone to back of the end zone, but it's 50 yards from sideline to sideline. So if he's on the left side and he throws a ball to the right, 10 yards down the field, that's a 40-yard pass. Okay, it's the same as him going straight 40 yards this way. So you got to remember that. But it still looks like he's taking a lot of effort just to get the ball there.
And you have a good point, and that's true.
So that's something else. All right, you got anything you want to talk about? Anything else you want to talk about on the season wrap up here
Yeah,
before we get to picks?
I do want to
and all that
mention.
good stuff?
I do want to mention one thing. There is a guy that is about to blow up and take over the entire running game for the National Football League, and his name is Derrick Henry.
Oh,
I realize he didn't have great totals, and the Saints didn't implement him a whole lot the Titans. They didn't implement him a whole lot this last week. It wasn't one of those games where they were more focused on their ground game. They were really relying on Ryan Tannehill in that game. But Derrick Henry, when he was implemented, especially in the third quarter, was absolutely showing the dominant force that he is. He's about to go on a serious tear. My prediction from now and for the next 3 seasons, Derrick Henry, number 1 running back in all of football. Did you see the way he shoved that guy aside in the third quarter, late in the third?
yeah.
Just get out of my way. It was ridiculous. This is
was.
a grown man.
It was.
Who is a defensive back and a pretty good sized one.
Mm-hmm.
I will add. A guy that's been an All-Pro before, and he just shoved him to the ground like he was made of kindling.
I get
ridiculous.
that. I get that. And I do agree. But listen, we both are very high on the Titans at the beginning of the season. There's no reason to jump off that bandwagon. As far as Derrick Henry is concerned, it's very simple. The alarm has sounded. He has arrived. And, but he's not going to last, because if he's running the ball like that, he's not going to last. Not that, I hope he lasts. I love watching guys run like this, but I don't think he will last because it takes a lot of pounding. Just this brief point before we wrap up this segment right here. You got to remember this. You carry the ball 20, 25 times, maybe 30, okay, if you're the Titans, okay, and he gets hit a lot, or he tries to stiff arm to avoid those hits. Okay, now if you do that 16 games, and if you go to the playoffs 17, maybe 18 games, you get the Super Bowl 20 games. Mm-hmm. He gets hit, 40 times a game. That's 1,000 times a year, 1,200 times. That's 1,200 car wrecks. Mm-hmm. It can't last forever.
No, but it'll last for the next few seasons unless he takes that one wicked ankle hit, which I'm hoping doesn't happen. It will happen. The way he runs and the way he's built and the way his entire game, it's going to take one nasty ankle injury to end his career.
Or knee injury.
Or end his effectiveness anyway. And I'm just hoping that's not coming in the next few
We never
years.
want anyone to get injured right here at NFL Weekly Predictions, but we do have some great predictions for you this week, and we will get to them in just a moment. So don't you go
And
anywhere.
now it's
You ain't seen
time for the
nothing
most
yet.
entertaining